In the time it takes to finish one stiff drink, me and my special guest, Brad LaBree, are going to figure out what gives him the right to talk about acting. We're going to swap some stories about characters that we have both played, not together, just, each made up. If we play the same character, that's weird. And we're going to figure out if one stiff drink makes you better at paper football kicks. Ooh. So buckle up, boys, because this is going to be a bumpy ride. And enjoy this episode of The Boondock Perspective.
Where class is optional.
It's yet another carefree Maine night, and you're listening to The Boondock Perspective, your real Northern Maine backwoods podcast. I'm joined tonight by my special guest, Brad LaBree. I would give you...
What would you give me?
Like a lineup of what your...
Accolades?
Your accolades are? But yeah, I couldn't think of the word, but I don't know how to describe them. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to sit here and...
Oh, God.
Boast.
Oh, man. That's trouble. No, yeah, I don't know. I've been acting for most of my life, live theater, and I spent some time working in Chicago and all sorts of...
Chicago? I knew that, but still, it surprises me every time I hear it.
I mean, yeah, I lived there for a while. I was 18 years old, and I might as well have just thrown a dart at a map of the United States and just picked a city that I wanted to live in.
That's the next podcast I'm doing, so I'll bring you on to it.
Okay. And I moved out there.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, that's fine. And I love that city. And I worked out there for a while, and then I came back home to Maine. This is just seemed like the thing to do. But yeah, I've been acting for a while, and a producer of live entertainment, live theater, live music. What else should I say?
Well, I know you around here from acting in the Penobscot Theater Company.
Yeah.
And you do that quite a bit. So even though you're not in Chicago anymore,
right,
you still have kept on the career path.
Right. Oh, did I not mention the Penobscot Theater just there? Oh, yeah.
Maybe you did. You know what? I'm not a great listener. I'm a bad host.
Yeah. I've been a company member of the Penobscot Theater since 2011. So for 7 years, I've been working there for that wonderful theater house.
Say wonderful one more time and I'll believe you.
So yeah, it's just like my second home. So I can't say enough, nice things about it.
I'm really need to apologize to you for not going to see any of your shows.
You haven't seen anything yet.
Literally not once, because I have tried so many times to go.
Well, this podcast is over.
But I never got the opportunity to.
I'll set you up with some tickets.
No, that's not fair. I think I need to pay for one just to make up for my karmic slate.
I think they have so many like great deals for people and subscriptions. If you've never been before, I'm pretty sure you could go for free.
Really?
Yeah. If you're not in their database, like you call the box office and you've never purchased a ticket before, they'll set you up.
Really?
Yeah. They want you to come to the shows. Well, yeah. Well, you would think so, but it's not because there's so much of a stigma behind live theater in this area. Either you're into it or you're not. It's almost like there's no middle of the road. So they really want everyone to fill the seats, because sometimes they don't, sell out. And what's just letting someone in for free who might talk about it after? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we were talking about my accolades, and we got into that.
There's your accolades. Do not take a sip, because before we do that, we have a segment on the show.
Okay.
And you've probably sipped already.
I have. As soon as you started, I started sipping.
He was like, and record.
Yeah.
I started chugging.
Do we need to start over?
No, we do not need to start over because you haven't finished it. So in the course that it takes to finish one stiff drink is the concept of this podcast. Right. So from beginning to end, it's supposed to be one stiff drink. You may end up having two. I don't really give a shit. I'm not your mom.
Okay.
But we need to figure out whether or not...
so I'm a drinker.
We need to figure out whether or not one stiff drink of alcohol makes you better at kicking paper football, as determined by the trophy of death.
Okay.
Or trophy of luck, or trophy
So
of
I need
spite.
to start it sober.
So we need a control study. So we need to figure it out sober. So I'm going to give you this. You hold it like that.
Yeah.
You kick it with your index finger.
Yeah.
Give it a good flick. Yeah. And I'm going to give you the goal. So we'll see how close you make it. And then we'll do it again at the end of the podcast and see if you're closer. Okay, you can turn that around because nobody would ever kick a football that way. Right. No, spin it.
What are you talking about? I had it like that. What are you talking about?
You have it right, but 90 degrees. There you can't.
What happened to it?
You broke it. You're going to be better now by the end of the podcast. The thing is deformed.
Okay.
No, okay. So spin it 90 degrees. That's how you get it.
Oh, that's how you do it? I never did it like that. I've been playing it wrong this entire time. I thought, like...
That's probably why you sucked at paper football.
No one asked me to play again. Like after I played once, it was
you just kicked it.
Well,
took the
we're gonna move on to the next kid. This guy sucks.
I was picked last in my paper football league.
The blunt side. I always wanted to go from there. All right, here we go. That sound effect was awesome.
You didn't even get 4 inches, bro.
That's because this.
Yeah, well, I'll move the goal. I'll give.
Come on.
I'll say that was my fault.
Difficulty.
I think there's also some issues with the football.
It's falling apart, Ethan.
Oh boy.
We can edit this out, right?
Sound effects. I'm not editing shit.
Okay. I see where I'm going, and bam!
Bam! Goal!
Come on,
that's
threaded
Latin American soccer, but not this. All right, we'll pick that up.
I don't know if I can get any better than that. The first round was. I don't really feel like I was trying. I feel like I'm trying now. Like at the beginning of this interview, I didn't feel like I was trying, but I'm trying now.
Now chug. No, I'm kidding. So
Right.
I have acted in a few things.
Okay.
In my life. One of them was a documentary where I had to play a cop back in the 70s, but I was wearing a British 2000s cop uniform. It was blatantly out of place.
A documentary?
Yeah, documentary never saw the light of day. I wasted 4 days of my life filming this thing. Yeah. That hurts. That hurts your psyche a little bit.
4 days?
Yeah.
Oh no, 4 days.
Okay, I take it you've got a better story of being rejected.
It's just time is all relative. I don't know. You know. Did you enjoy yourself? Were you no, you hated it.
A lot of my friends were the ones putting it on, so I did it as a favor. I'll meet you here for 5 hours and help you escort some guy out of a barn 45 times.
It wasn't 5 hours, though, was it?
No, it was supposed to be 1 hour. It turned into 5.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was another day, where they called me and they were like, hey, where are you? You're supposed to be on set. And I'm like, I never would have agreed to this. It's Tuesday. I'm at work. Why would I have said yes to Tuesday at noon when I have a job?
Yeah.
But I ended up taking it off anyway and going to help him out. But it was like a lot of guilt tripping to get me there, and it never even saw the light of day. So that stinks.
I feel like that's kind of part of it, though. You're young, and it's hard to say no to things, especially if there's a possibility of greatness.
Yeah, but I'm not so concerned with greatness with acting. I'm going to make it somewhere else. I want it to be somewhere else.
I mean, that feels like any given month in college. Like, I would say yes to somebody's project. And especially if they needed an actor. And I was, ready to go. Even if it meant just like 1 line or 0 lines. It was a project that someone was producing. So that was always a big deal for me. Until I learned better. You know what I mean? After so many times of waiting around and, there's so many good ideas that people have, and you can say yes to a project. It's
pretty easy to find out when someone's really passionate about something. Usually, passion means something's going to get to the end line in some capacity.
Well,
if I don't sense that passion, I usually back out.
Yeah.
There's a poster behind the camera called Loon Echo. You might be able to see it. I don't know if you've seen any episodes of it.
Your show? Yeah. It's funny.
You didn't watch all of it.
No, I didn't watch all of it.
Yeah, so then it's not funny.
I don't watch a lot of anything.
Yeah, okay.
It's hard. I'm serious, like,
The first episode. So I'm not here to talk about Loon Echo, but the first episode was rough. We found our stride around episode 3. Audio listeners have no idea what I just did. I clapped my elbows in the back of my hands.
You're describing it. You're describing your movement. Oh, yeah, it's the popular clapping your elbows and then the face movement. Hip with the kids these days.
I don't think it was hip when I learned it.
No, I haven't seen all of your YouTube series, but you're doing so much.
I acted in it. I had a lot of passion for it, and the people on the project knew about it. And it was at the point where, as a producer and a director and the person who put that on, I owed it to the people involved to make it see the light of day. And that's at the end of the day, that's why it.
Do you think that when you take on all those roles, like? Obviously, there's so much more pressure to see it through at that point because you have this idea. So you're producer, director, you're acting in it.
There's a lot more pressure to see it.
Shit better be good, man.
But there's also nobody with you.
Yeah.
You're your own thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm producer, director, scriptwriter, and editor, then at the end of the day, none of those people are motivating each other to get it done.
Yeah.
And it's just me. So if I lose hope
I hope
or
you
I lose
keep
motivation,
that
it's
passion, well into your career.
So do I.
Oh, Jesus! All right.
Hard.
What's the question? What am I talking about now?
I mean, I just want to hear about acting. So my point is, I'm not a very good actor, and I have put myself in the role to learn, and I think I've learned a lot. But at the end of the day, I can't go from laughing to a straight face. I can't get into a character.
Oh, I bet you can.
And I can, but it takes a lot of work.
Yeah, but
and I've seen you at various.
Not at Penobscot Theater Company.
Not at Penobscot Theater Company, but just in day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And you'll just snap your friggin' finger and go into this Russian character, and you'll be some mob boss, and all of us, and you play it for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And it's like,
how long have you been making video and producing video? Like behind the camera. How long have you been doing that?
Amateurly since I was probably in 9th grade. Professionally since probably sophomore year in college. So probably about 5 years.
So amateurly since 9th grade.
Yeah.
I started acting when I was 9.
Damn.
I was dropped off at a theater camp. It was in Madison, Maine, Lakewood Theater Company.
I grew up near there.
I'm the youngest of 3. My mother dropped me off and said, "You're going to be really good at this. Just go and do this for a while."
You're so dramatic, Brad. Get out of the house.
I feel like it was partially like, please, I need a break.
Take your bagged bacon with the ends cut off.
Just go. I know you're going to be great at this. Just go and hang out with your people.
Yeah.
And part of me was like, this is where all the pretty girls are, so that's awesome for me. Thanks, Mom. But also, she was exactly right. Like, that's what I did. I was a show-off. I was a clown in school, and I needed a place to focus all of that energy. And so from 9 on, I've been doing some version of that. Not necessarily live theater, not necessarily acting for the camera, but, at some points it was sketch comedy, it was stand-up comedy, it was producing live entertainment. So
because that's what you went to school for, right? Was live entertainment.
Yeah, I went to school at Columbia College in Chicago for producing live entertainment. I started out with I minored in acting, but there was that little voice in the back of my head that was like, you can't major in acting, man. You're going to starve to death. And so I was at this wonderful school. It was wonderful again. And what's great about Columbia is all of the professors are working artists or working professionals. So if you're in somebody's class, they're working in the industry. So you ask them questions, and you can meet somebody, and you can get an internship somewhere. And if you really work hard, you can be, you can be higher up. You can be the next Hannibal Buress of comedy. You can be the next person working on X-Men.
Sorry.
I don't know. I always think about that guy. I don't know.
He is good, but he's not my go-to.
I don't know. I'm
not going to give you shit for it more than I just have.
Yeah, you kind of came down hard on that.
You can continue, but, he's fantastic, but oof.
Well, I don't know how many accolades Columbia College has.
Yeah.
I don't keep track of that shit.
What's your most memorable character from both 9th to high school and then Columbia? So two answers.
As a kid, at Lakewood, I think my most memorable...
I expect an accent if it had an accent. I expect you to go all out with this because you can do it.
No, accent... Okay,
so silence. Okay, we'll move on to the next question.
No, because I was about to no. As a kid, my first realization that I loved being on stage was Templeton the Rat in Charlotte's Web when I was I don't know, probably 9.
A good Templeton.
9 years old. Right, yeah, the fair is a veritable smorgasbord, smorgasbord. After the crowds have ceased, at nights when the light go down, it can be found on the ground all around. Oh, what a raptly feast!
Wait, how old were you when you did that? Oh my God!
I was so terrified of singing at that point. I was probably 9 or 10, whatever. That was first year stuff. That was the first taste.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I also acted in Charlotte's Web.
Yeah, who are you?
a cotton candy vendor handing out food to the audience, and I messed up one of my 2 lines by saying it twice.
There you go.
It was like, cotton candy, get your cotton candy here. And then my next line was supposed to be like, that's some pig, but instead I said, cotton candy, get your cotton candy, because I forgot the line. And then
the director's tearing their hair out. Ethan, what are you doing?
No. But I didn't act again. After that, I was a stagehand. My nickname was Diesel for like 3 years because I don't remember the name of it, but they come around.
Hot as balls. That's so hot up here. Sorry.
I know it doesn't help that it's summer.
Right. I want to answer your question completely.
Yeah. Sorry. Some guy was just like, oh my God, you lift so much heavy stuff. You're so Diesel. And then it stuck, and I'm not happy about it, but then I kind of was happy about it, because then I was called Diesel.
Oh, no, I would be happy if someone described me as Diesel. Like, I'm a guy that no one has ever described as Diesel.
Now more like hybrid.
I get like, oh, you're so, like, wiry. Sinewy. I don't get Diesel. Okay, so that was the first, like, Templeton the Rat I was a kid, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love this. And at Lakewood, I was in college, and I was visiting back to Maine, and they called me up, and they needed me to do this role in a show called The Red Herring, because somebody dropped out, and I had like 3 days to get into this character that was actually 4 characters, because that show, the actors sort of like trade off, right? Mm-hmm. And at that point, I was in Chicago, and I was going to school. But you got to understand, like, I didn't go there to be an actor. I went there to just, like, do that. And I knew that I liked being on stage, and I feel like I'm funny, I can perform, I don't have stage fright. I guess I would be an okay public speaker. But at that point, that was the moment that was like, I can do this. I can handle the gravity of that, because someone had dropped out. They called me because they knew that I was in town, and it's like, hey, we're opening in 3 days. Somebody dropped out, and it was like unforeseen circumstances, and they needed me to be. It was a photographer, a detective, a mortician, a southern lawyer. Well, yeah, because in some shows you play multiple parts, right? And it's just quick costume changes. Mm. And when I did that, I kind of like quit my major and doubled down on acting, and became I quit my major at the time, which was actually film studies, which I was really bad at.
That's what I went to school for. I work alongside you, and now I'm nervous.
I was really bad at that. No, it just takes a certain level of attention and almost engineering that I was so intimidated by.
Yeah, and there's a lot of gear you gotta carry. It's very heavy.
It's not. There wasn't the weight of the gear. Like the campus of Columbia is downtown Chicago, and there were so many impressive people that were in the film studies program, and I was at 18 years old. I felt like a country bumpkin that I couldn't hack it. I needed my strength. That wasn't my strength. I went to school there as a film major, as an experiment. I wanted to be inspired to do that. I was going to school with kids who who went to high school, who had high school programs that had offered film studies. Yeah. I had no idea what I was doing. There were kids who were already talking about what they were going to produce and how they were going to produce it. I had zero idea how I was going to do anything. I wanted to be educated.
Yeah, I'm resonating with everything you're saying right now.
Was that okay?
That's not sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. You're from Jackman. I'm from Harmony. I know. At 18, coming from Harmony, Maine, I decided to go to Chicago and learn. And the only word I'm just gonna say learn about how to make entertainment. Learn how to make video.
It's hard.
It's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
So I decided, I feel like I'm not very linear right now with what I'm talking about.
Linear is for the birds, man.
Linear is for the birds.
So you did Red Herring. That sounds like a drug.
Yeah.
So you did red herring. You did red herring while you were coming back from college. So what were you doing in Chicago that you weren't acting? You can be brief about it. I mean, we don't need insane.
So I didn't really know what I was doing when I was in college for like the first half. But I fell in love with the stand-up and sketch comedy scene there. So I got a job at this venue, Shuba's. So it's Shuba's Tavern, and it's on Southport and Belmont. And I started bartending this sketch comedy and stand-up comedy room, Your Sunday's Best. Mainly sketch, excuse me, let me rephrase. I keep saying sketch comedy, but it was a stand-up comedy room. I'm fucking this up now. Can you do that?
You want to try it again?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Damn, I like the drug thing. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So you did red herring while you were back in Maine.
Right.
Well, you were going to school in Chicago.
Right.
So what were you doing there? Because you weren't acting.
So I was acting and I was working. When I was at school, like the thing to do for me, what I thought at the time, was to befriend any directing major that I could, so I could be part of their show. At Columbia, in the theater department, a directing major, they had their directing piece, and so as an acting minor, I wanted to be a part of that. So that's what I was working on, but I was also at the time working at Shuba's Tavern, and I was bartending their stand-up comedy room, which was an upstairs lounge. It was called Your Sunday's Best. And there I just fell in love. I already had a pretty deep appreciation, as much as a kid from, Central Maine at 16 years old could have for stand-up comedy. I just fell in love with this room. And so I ended up bartending this stand-up comedy room at the second floor of Shuba's Tavern. And so I approached the casting agent, or not the casting agent, it's like the talent agent of Shuba's, and of course Mike Shuba gave me so much opportunity there to do what I wanted. We created a comedy series called Laugh It Up Kid. And
Like a video series?
No, it was a show that we had at Shuba's Tavern, and the first show that we had there was I think it was like January 2013 or something like that, and it was part of their festival, and so we were booking talent from Chicago, and it was like stand up. Like these guys were great. Prescott Toke, we had Cameron Esposito. I wanted to have Hannibal Buress there. Like I already said, how much of a fan I am of his. Like I'm such a fan of that guy. And we had Adam Burke, Junior Stopka, Drew Michael, and just these like just amazing comedians, stand-up comedians from Chicago that I put up at the show, and that was just like such an education for me for comedy.
So you got into comedy?
Yeah, I got into stand-up comedy. I tried
honed
to do it myself.
Is that when he became the comedy genius?
Oh man, right. So
Should I have not mentioned that? He got a pretty impressive write-up in a paper about being a comedic genius. So I think you deserve the props for that, even though I didn't see the show.
Thanks, man. I feel like I know a thing or two about how to deliver a joke on stage. Like, I don't know. Part of life is like educating yourself on what you love. And for me, in my mid-20s in Chicago, all I was doing was trying to insert myself into the most exciting scene that I could find. And that was comedy in Chicago in the early 2000s. And so I just wanted to be a part of that scene. And so I did whatever I could to get in there. And for me at that point, in 2004, I got a job at Shuba's, and I tried to be a part of the scene. And at that time, it was like folk rock, independent, indie rock. And I was like, hey guys, how about we do some comedy here? And so that's what I tried to do. I just tried to, make myself, a player in that scene. And now I'm rambling because this drink is strong.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
is it?
Yes,
well, that's good to hear.
Yes.
That means you might miss on the paper football toss.
Okay. No promises.
I'm going to take a second then, since this seems like a natural pause in things. We talked a little bit about my web series, Loon Echo.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I want to talk about it because I have a clip that I think is going to play off a little better. I think it's going to show the audience a little bit more about what it's about. Yeah. But in brief description, it's a 7-episode web series called Loon Echo. It's a mockumentary, kind of like The Office meets Parks and Rec. And it's about 5 people who just freshly graduated high school, and they go into the woods for their last summer as what they thought was their last summer as free kids. And they take all their technology, their
free
cell phones.
Kids here. We got your free kids here.
They take all their cell phones, their laptops, and they bury it so they don't have to contact the outside world. And that's what I miss. That's what I like most about Jackman, and I feel like Harmony probably had, and why I think I'm going to stick in Maine.
Yeah. There's a call,
cool.
right?
It's a call to nature, and it's really refreshing. It's like a rebirth.
As much as you don't want it to be a part of your life, it is.
Yeah. I freaking hate technology so much.
I know. Like, fuck it. I don't want to have to deal with this shit.
Yeah, it's annoying. I don't like having to wake up every morning knowing what messages came in. But anyway, if you feel like that too, this might be the web series for you.
Yeah.
Take a look at this little 30-second clip and see whether or not it interests you. And if it does, I have a link in the description.
Between their strange personality differences and their even stranger misadventures, Phil, Jake, Julie, Michaela, and Paul set up camp at Loon Echo Campground.
Why is the seat always wet?
Experience their journey, for better or worse, as they abandon their lives and live on only the necessary essentials. Loon Echo, a 7-part web series exclusively bingeable on YouTube. Find it on the MainahMen YouTube channel.
Yeah, Brad's
You
clapping.
worked hard, man.
Brad's clapping, but he hadn't seen it.
This guy works really
All of it
hard.
anyway.
You work really hard.
I try.
You do.
try.
I'm a lazy man.
So one of the things, I appreciate you saying that because I thought I was genuinely funny, and I've had this YouTube channel since I was in 10th grade, and I think
Holy shit.
at this point there's like 110 videos on it. But I'm going to tell you right now, 85 of them are fucking garbage. They're awful.
Oh. Yeah.
And I've realized, and I don't know if you could agree or if you disagree or really how you feel on the subject, but a person, I feel this way because I think it applies to me and it applies to everybody I know as I've watched them grow up.
Yeah.
But I don't think a person is truly, genuinely funny until they are like over the age of 20, 21. Once they've lived through the garbage
You're
that
talking
people have
about
been warning
life
them about.
experience.
You need life experience.
You need some scars.
And understanding and some
to
scars.
be sarcastic.
To be able to make real jokes.
I don't think there's any argument against that. What you're saying, like, sure, yes, you need to be able to have some life experience in order to have an opinion. Right?
In order to have a justified opinion. You need
to have
You
an
need to know what you're
opinion.
talking about in order for you to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing.
Otherwise, hopefully someone's going to roll right over you. Yeah, I think you're right. Although, I think that there are natural deliveries and there are natural performers, almost like savants of delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And you're jealous of them, but they're there, right? You know,
I think of Bo Burnham when you're talking. I don't know if you know too much about Bo Burnham.
Yeah,
he became a YouTube sensation when he was like 16, 17.
And I think, the more that the technology is in our lives, the more we're going to see those types of people. You know, it's just, it's there, but the way that we recognize that talent is subjective. I feel like I was, aware of the joke, the importance of the joke at a very young age because it was important to me. In I come from a family where storytelling and story sharing is such an important thing, where you're this this audience of people who are listening to this story. Like that was me with my family, an uncle telling a story and you're waiting for the punchline. And so I tried to mimic that as best as I could when I was a kid. As far as like performing on stage or on camera, that's a different beast altogether. I feel like comedy is a defense mechanism for a lot of people.
Yeah, I will agree with that because that's how I think I became the way I
So you develop it, and you hone it, and it becomes exacting. For me, I wanted to become a different character from a very young age. I saw these different characters that I wanted to be, and so I would mimic them. So a lot of like my performance background just came from impressions and mimicry, and I feel like so many other people did that.
I think when I talk about being genuinely funny, though, I mean
original.
You look like you have a point. Yeah,
I'm waiting. Yeah, I think I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, like you're in high school and you're in class, and then you're doing some seminar, and then the math teacher
toughest room there is.
Yeah,
the high school room. Oh shit! You gotta make her laugh,
that's
bro.
That's my alma mater, man.
Yeah,
that's where I come from. Was being
you gotta make Ashley laugh.
Dick.
Haley, you laughing at this shit?
Trying to think if I had girls with those names in my school. I only graduated with 5 people, so there weren't many.
5? What the fuck?
I was fucking one of the 5.
Boondock.
Boondock, perspective.
Boondock.
But I think of all the shit that I did when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that wasn't funny. And I watched those 85 videos on my YouTube channel.
You got to take risks.
And I'm like, none of that was funny.
You got to take risks, So I agree with you though. When I was talking about like stand up in the room that I was working. I desperately wanted to be like good at that. At stand up, I wanted to like pull people's mind. But everybody does. Everybody who steps up behind that microphone wants to be like the next Louis C.K. They want to be mind-blowing. So when you recognize that and get comfortable with that and then think about what you're bringing to the table, what you have to say as an individual, that's when shit gets real. So, I started to do that and I realized like, I've got to go out. I got to go get a shitty job that I hate. I got to go travel. I have to go get some life experience in order for me to like have any sort of opinion. And so that's what I made like a real effort to do, was to go and just be a part of the world. And I felt like I tried to find the humor out of any situation, and as a mimic I try to feel what people are feeling.
Yeah.
So I would put myself into situations in order to expand my own catalog. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For when I would need that reference, I could use it.
I mean, you learn. Comedy is something you learn. Like, you really have to learn. You have to adjust, see what didn't work, see what did work.
If you don't have timing, maybe write. If you love comedy that much, maybe just try to write for it. But if you don't have natural delivery, I feel like that's where you're wrong.
Yeah, there's a reason there's 500 writers behind a 7-actor sitcom.
If you don't have that feeling, you're in the wrong business.
So where I come from, or where I'm coming from in this opinion is, I can write a joke that's going to be funny, and it can take me 5 years to do it. It could take me 5 minutes to do it. It could take me 5 seconds to do it.
Yeah.
But when I'm on the street and some dude's tying his shoe and I need a punchline.
What the fuck is this
I don't know.
situation?
I'm making up.
What is this?
I'm literally making it up.
Guy's tying his shoe. I only got like the time it takes to tie a shoe in order to deliver a line.
Yeah. Will you genuinely come up with something that's funnier
pressure.
After the age of 20, 21?
That's pressure.
Or in your adolescence?
Look, the more life experience you have, the funnier you are. Yeah. That's just the way that it is. It's a sad thing, like, where we need like young, pretty people to be our idols, like in any form whatsoever. I don't think it's any different with like our artists, like our musicians, our actors, directors, muses of any kind. The more life experience you have, the more credibility that you have.
Credibility. the word of the day.
Right? Some people are just naturally like when I think of natural funny, I think of some of my favorites. If it wasn't for Robin Williams, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't want to show off. I saw him as a kid, and I want to show off because I know I can be that funny. Like, it's an inspiration to me. Like, I think of Robin Williams' death, and I want to like cry. Like he seems like a family member to me.
Do you remember where you were when you got that news?
Oh yeah, just like on my. I mean, that was the age of phone. It's
he's one
like,
of those people that I remember where I was.
Yeah, it's just so sad. But also, I think of Will Ferrell and Jack Black in that way.
Yeah, naturally.
They could say anything, and I would laugh at that. So there is this inherent delivery that I don't think you can question. But the older you get, the more life experience you get, and the wiser you are. And if you're a satirist, you're more precise with your words and your jokes.
So at what age does that? At what age does it cut off? At what age are you no longer starting to be funny and you just start to get glum and gloomy and at 65, do you just stop being funny and you start being like cynical?
It all depends on your life experience. When do you get bitter?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I have had stages of bitterness, whereas like I'm not funny today. Like I'm too pissed off about my ex-girlfriend from 5 years ago, or my job that I didn't tell my boss off, or, when I had to pay, like, so much money for this fucker that ripped me off. Like, everyone gets bitter at some point. It depends on, are you willing to move past it to be at a higher level?
Then there are comedians that make a living off being bitter.
Yeah.
I have a hard time.
I think
because I'm like, I agree with everything you're saying, but I don't like that you're making a living off of this.
I think there's a difference.
I feel bad.
There's a difference between a comedian and a comedic actor.
Yeah.
Bo Burnham is a comedian. A comedic actor is it's broader.
Like Robert Downey Jr. in all the Iron Mans and all the Avengers.
Sure,
like, he's funny.
He's
find
funny, a comedic actor finds their delivery. They find their comfort zone. A comedian is thinking, might change direction in the moment. They're using what they're given in the moment to make it like about themselves, and could change the joke, could turn the joke on its head. You don't know what you're gonna get. You shouldn't expect anything. A comedic actor, I want you to bring X to the table, right? A comedic actor, like, oh yeah, I'm bringing you to the table because I know you can do Robert Downey Jr. Sarcastic, stark. You can do this. You can do X. You can do this definable thing. You bring a comedian without a character, there's more room. Right?
I'm trying to think of all the favorite movies that I have, and most of them are ad-libbed. Or like all the Robin Williams movies. He does like 5 or 6 takes and never says the same line. He was so good at that.
I saw this thing that was on the line recently of Good Will Hunting. Williams. He just they showed the script and his delivery.
Literal chills.
I just love it, man. I don't know.
Talk about a masterpiece of a film. If you haven't seen it, guys, watch it.
I don't know. I just think, it depends on your fandom.
Redefine that? Elaborate.
Okay. Everybody, like, I don't think there's anybody watching that wouldn't have, like, their favorites. It depends on your level of how much you like that favorite. How much are you obsessed with that style? How much can you do that yourself? Your fandom. Are you if you have a slight inkling of a performer within you?
I think I'm an off-camera performer. I've done the vlogging thing. I've tried to be in front of the camera. I've acted. At the end of the day, I like writing the jokes and then letting the actors take it. I like.
But how do you know your jokes are good unless you don't try them yourself?
Well, in that web series that I just plugged shamelessly, I did act, and it was because I couldn't find anyone that played the part. Because I knew it.
I don't know how. If you're gonna call yourself any sort of comedian, if you don't try your stuff out live,
ouch.
Ouch. Or have screenings, or I don't know. Look, I know you. I know you're funny. I'm not trying to come down on you in any way whatsoever. But also, you're writing jokes.
Mm-hmm. I don't consider myself a comedian in the slightest. Also, though, like a lot of the things that I write, it goes by a writer's room, and I make sure that everything goes. They're like, okay, I can see that.
That's
working.
Funny.
Yeah, stamp.
That's
stamp
good.
Of approval.
You are funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've dabbled in vlogging where I just write stuff for, and I think in my experience and in my world, that is my life, because I could not perform live, but I do put the jokes out there for everyone to see with me performing them to see if it works, and
that's your room.
That's my room. That's vlogging is my room. Yeah. This is my room.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, without the view count and people looking at it and giving you, that was good.
Yeah, but this could be step one.
It's hard to
This could be your room, and then who knows, right?
Yeah.
This is still a honing process. I just think that there needs to be some sort of honing process, and you need feedback.
Oh well, yeah. Actually,
it's in the living room when you're a kid. You're like, hey, I'm gonna do this Jim Carrey impression. How am I doing, gang? If Uncle John is like, I don't think so. You're like, yeah, that's not for me. Right? It's just, it's your audience.
Yeah. If you look back at all the old videos I did, 85 videos ago, 100 videos ago, and you look at those logs I did, you can see I definitely learned, and I definitely took feedback, and I definitely went with it. So I think that I am practicing what you say, but not in the world of a live comedian, in the world of someone afraid with stage fright.
You're not a live performer.
Yeah, there's no one behind that camera.
You're a filmmaker.
I'm here by myself.
Yeah, you're a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So you're experimenting in your own way.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think before the age of 21, I was an idiot, and I look at all the stuff I did that I thought was funny, and I look back and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Gretchen. Yeah. I'm sorry I did that to you. Yeah. I'm sorry I did this, Miss Math teacher.
So, final answer. Before the age of 21, there are definitely performers who can deliver a joke. I will agree with you. After a certain age, before a certain age, excuse me, your writing styles not so honed.
Yeah, you need like a decade to figure that shit out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm on the not necessarily the opposite side of that, but I asked the question because I look at Bo Burnham, who I found hilarious at 16, 17, but the question is, does he understand why that's so funny? And he's said it in interviews. No, I haven't lived through that. I talk about it because it's popular. So it's like, is he genuinely funny because it's making me laugh? Or is he not genuinely funny because he's just doing what works?
He's just smart.
He's just smart.
Yeah. You recognize.
So where's the line is my question.
Yeah.
And that's the one that's got no definable answer.
No, it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all, because when you live in the world of entertainment, you can drive yourself crazy.
Yeah. 2-1 zone. Everyone's got their own.
Yeah, for me, it was, I just wanted, I felt like I needed to have more life experience, and I didn't want to speak on behalf of somebody without having a full understanding. Whenever I take any role, I want to understand it, or I will bring a character that I understand in order to tell that story. I'm getting really weird right now, but I know I am. If I'm casting a role, I will bring 2 things. Someone who I've met, who I use as a role model, and someone who I've never met, who I idolize, who reminds me of that part, and I'll try to blend the two.
Weird. So that's your process.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't think acting comedic, dramatic, I don't think it's that complicated.
No.
All you have to do is be 100% confident in what you do.
Confidence is important.
It's presence.
So important.
You need to be present the entire time.
Yep. Cool. Well, with that being said, it looks like you're finishing off your drink, so I think it's time for us to figure out whether or not that stiff drink of alcohol made you better at paper football kicking.
Let's do it.
So I really did cut this too short. It's not folding into itself, guys. If this was a competition for making a paper football,
you'd lose.
I'd have lost.
Yeah,
so fast.
You would have lost.
You know, I thought it was too long, so I cut it short, and now it's
just too short.
You can see I ripped it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's time to play the game. Does consuming one stiff drink of alcohol increase your skill level when performing weirdly specific things? Asterisk, we don't condone the use of alcohol for the purpose of self-improvement. I like saying the whole thing. I don't need to.
It sounds
I like
professional.
It sounds funny to me. That's my comedian. I'm just like, let's just make this title as long as it can be. There's too many words on this paper, and I find that funny. That's all my comedy is, just being weird and uncomfortable.
I'm into that.
I'm going to give you... That was the worst.
Did you mean to do that?
No, that was the literal worst thing that could have happened.
Dunked it.
I just dunked the paper football in my drink.
That's how I like it. That's how I like to kick.
It's almost like I've recorded 3 of these podcasts today, and I'm getting a little drunky.
Yeah, you still got your brother to do next.
Yeah. I can't wait for him to come on.
You don't do it like this? I swear to God, like, that's just weird.
Alrighty. You ready here?
Uh-huh.
You realize that if you have to make it in the first one, otherwise you got worse.
Oh, you mean make it in the first one sort of like
you got
this?
Worse, or it's can't tell.
Maybe like this? Oh, fuck.
All right. You got one more?
I was so close.
This thing stinks, man. I really should have done better with the paper football. All right. You ready for try 2? I'm going to make it... No, just kidding.
No. Yeah, right there.
Bam. All right. So that means your card goes in the I can't tell category, and it's...
What is that?
It's undecided.
What? Undecided?
You made it in the same amount as it took the first time. So there's no difference between drunk you playing football and sober you playing football.
That's what I like to tell the police.
Officer, trust me. I have a video of me
There's no difference. This is what you get. And you've given it a license. So, right on.
Don't ask me to walk a straight line. Ask me to kick a paper football a straight line, and I got that shit.
At least 1 out of 2 times.
50% of the time.
50% of the time, I'm 100% of the time.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Boondock Perspective. You can find The Boondock Perspective on Facebook at The Boondock Perspective. If I say it enough times, maybe I'll brainwash you into doing it. Listen to it. It's all I care about.
Boondockperspective.com. It's wonderful.
There's no website.
Boondock Perspective.
On Facebook.
On Facebook.
That'll work fine.
That'll work fine. All right. Jason's laughing. That's all we got.
Can we do a whole podcast where you just narrate what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, that's next week. All right, deuces.
Ethan signing off.